I'm almost afraid to go there, but the Brewers had a bad night offensively. Craig Counsell, is he the issue? Is he the problems? I'm seeing some of this on Twitter. We'll talk about that next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Another night of watching the Brewers play and the offense just invisible. Good to have you along. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. I hate going down this road because I'm going to get some tweets. I'm going to get some messages. I'm going to get some DMs of people saying I'm being too negative on this team. But crying out loud, come on. I mean, I see you all out there on Twitter. There are more people enough who are just disgusted by the offense of this team. Game in, game out, 4 hits at a 7-2 loss. And you know what? 7-2 loss to the Blue Jays. And yeah, Adrian Houser put him in an early hole. He had nothing going for him tonight. Leaving balls over the middle plate. I get it. Okay. And I know some of you want to turn me off at this point because you say, oh, the last thing I need to do is listen to somebody talking negative about my team. Sorry. But I mean, I'm just, as a fan, you cannot help but be disenchanted with watching these guys once in a while. Yeah, I know. First place in the NL Central. And that's always the lining. I heard the players talk about that Sunday in the locker room. Oh, but we're still in first place. We have injuries and all that. And I get it. And I know the injuries, one injury after another, has hampered this team. I understand that. But some of you are going after Craig Counsell. And we'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. I'm Chuck Freeman, first-year host here, longtime sports talk show host in the Milwaukee area, morning sports anchor at 1310 WIBA in Madison. Also been covering for AP, the Associated Press rated network for over 40 years. I've been around this team for a long, long time. So I'm just not some guy who just, wandered in, stumbled in, and decided to make an easy buck doing a podcast on the Brewers every night because I love this team. Just like you, I'm living and dying with this team, and when I hear somebody come at me and say, oh, you never played, it doesn't matter if I never played the game. I can still get on somebody, can I? I've been relatively easy on some of these guys. Trust me. So we're going to get into all that. Thanks for downloading me. You can find me on Google, Spotify. You can get it on Apple, Locked On Brewers. We're on all those platforms and more. After the show, or before I drop the show, I tweet out on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND, how you can download the show, where you can find it, all the various platforms. And of course, we're on YouTube. You get the video version of it right there on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. That we're growing every day on YouTube as well, which I love. Some of you love watching the show. Some of you guys put this on your TV. Some of you listen to us on your devices at home, which is great. All you got to say to that device is Locked On Brewers, and it'll come right up. But on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell that's going to alert you every time we drop an episode, which is after every game here on Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day, and I mean it when I say your team every day because we're here providing content for you after every game. Weekend's a little shorter, but we are here for you. Is Counsell to blame? Absolutely not. Is it his fault that one guy after another goes on the injured list? Okay. You look at that lineup out there. Should hitting coaches lose their jobs? Oh, come on. I feel like that's a convenient excuse for fans sometimes. Let's fire the 2 hitting coaches. And then what? Okay. Let's fire. I'll tell you, you fire Craig Counsell tomorrow, he would have a job by the time his plane crossed over Canada back in the United States. I had to take a drink there. He would. I'm telling you, he's one of the best managers in baseball. Do I agree with everything he does? No. I don't live and die with everything he does and support him. But I think he's a good manager. And I'm telling you, there are other teams would like to be in this position. Now, how many times in our lives have the Brewers, growing up as a kid, Brewers would win 90, 93 games sometimes in the old American League East and not go to the postseason. So finally, we're in a division where we don't have to win 95 games to win the division. I'm not saying that's good, but the Brewers are in the worst division of baseball. And Pittsburgh, I mean, if we feel like the Brewers are bad, how about St. Louis? How about Cincinnati? How about the Cubs? How about Pittsburgh? Okay. Then they got worse issues than the Milwaukee Brewers, who are in first place. But you look up and down, look into this lineup the Brewers put out there tonight. This lineup was not good. And again, you're telling me this is Craig Counsell's fault with the lineup that they're throwing out there? No, I mean, there's certain guys. I mean, if you bellied up to a bar with Counsell, which I never have, but I'm just saying if you did, I don't even know he goes to bars. Probably not, but I don't know. But if you did, and you asked him, you know what, Craig, Darren Ruff is going to be your leadoff hitter come Memorial Day, a couple of days after Memorial Day. Darren Ruff, who was out of baseball, is going to be your leadoff hitter, okay? You're going to be in first place, but Darren Ruff, you're going to call him up because you're facing a lefty, and you're going to put him in there in the DH spot. Absolutely not. Owen Miller, best hitter of the team, had a hit tonight. William Contreras, a home run, 2-run homer in the first inning. But did you envision Contreras batting third in the lineup? No, you didn't have him figured on being the number 3 guy in this lineup. And again, you're facing a lefty tonight. I get this. Christian Yelich, batting .251, came up at an opportune situation early in the game, got called out on a curveball, borderline pitch, but bottom line is he didn't come through once again, sitting .251. Would you guess Craig Counsell again through 50 games, 7 home runs and a .254 batting average? You wouldn't have guessed it, obviously, 3 or 4 years ago, maybe coming into the All-Star or coming into the season, you might have. But he was your cleanup hitter. Ryan Anderson, 0 for 2. Played third base, played right field. You're moving him all around, doing great defensively, but he's your number 5 hitter. Mike Brasso, your 6th place hitter, first base. Mike Brasso shouldn't be one of the heart of the order guys. God bless him, but he's playing first base because the Brewers can't hit a left-hander. We got to get as many right-handers in as possible. And Rowdy Tellez later played. Joey Wiemer, center field, batting .187. 187. Again, a rookie. I'm going to cut him some slack. He's been great defensively out there. But an injury is the reason why he's playing center field. Tyrone Taylor. When's the last time Tyrone Taylor got a base hit? 0 for 2 again, 167. Bryce Terang went 0 for 2, 215. You look at this lineup. Take out Owen Miller. The best hitter in the lineup is William Contreras, batting .253. Yelich at .251. And then it drops down to Brian Anderson at .242. It's just awful. So is this Counsell's fault? I think this is a little bit of Matt Arnold's fault with the team he constructed. But again, some of his preferred players aren't out there. Garrett Mitchell, not out there because of injury. Many of the guys in this starting rotation, not out there because of injury, but the pitching has been okay. I mean, Adrian Houser tonight was lousy. I'll give you that. Adrian Houser was just awful. And, Houser had pitched so well in his previous 2 games, and I don't expect a lot out of him, but he was not very good. We'll get to more of this coming up. More on Counsell. Talk about the game tonight. They did lose 7-2. Another injury to talk about, and an update on a couple of other guys. A couple of other injuries as well, including Willie Adames. Some good news coming up there. We'll get to that coming up here next. Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And this episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. FanDuel, I hope you did not load up everybody on Boston on the money line to win that game last night. What idiot is going to do that? That would be me. I'd got on the Celtics down 0-3. They won their last 3. Thought, ain't no way they're going to lose Game 7 at home. They've won 3 in a row. Didn't expect that kind of effort last night. So FanDuel, throughout the playoffs, they're there for all sports. But right now, all new customers to FanDuel can get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. The hell of a first bet, no sweat. $2,500 back in bonus bets if your bet does not win. How about, so you could bet $2,500. If that bet doesn't come through, you're going to get redeemed the money back with free plays. That's incredible. FanDuel.com/lockedon is the place to go. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get a no sweat first bet up to $2,500. FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. I see Denver is minus 360 on the series price. Do you dare pick against Miami once again? I don't know. Oh, that Celtics game. Didn't see it. Not surprised Boston lost. Wasn't a guarantee. Nothing is. Didn't expect a blowout. All right, welcome back to Locked On Brewers. I'm Chuck Freeman, your host of Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. The Brewers play the Blue Jays again coming up on Wednesday night. 6:07 with that first pitch. Catch every pitch of the Brewers' hometown broadcast, Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search Brewers. I know many, many fans all across the country who view this app and have heard my little spot on Sirius XM on the Brewers broadcast. Thank you. Yeah, why not? I mean, anywhere across the country, you get every Brewer game right on Sirius XM. Love being partners with those guys. Thanks for making Locked On Brewers your first listen to every day. You everydayers out there who call me, or not call me, but text me on the message me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUNV. DM me, respond to some of the things I say, some of my tweets. You leave your comments on YouTube as well. Find us on all the great platforms as well for downloading. We are your team every day. All right. The Brewers in this game, Houser did give up the 7 runs in the first 3 innings. Was not good on 11 hits. 6 earned runs. 6 of the runs were earned of the 7 runs. 4 1/3 innings. And he stuck around sucking up some some innings, but he was bad. There's no other way to put that. Okay. Again, you people who think I'm so negative out there, sorry. I can put a disclaimer up there. But he was bad. There's no other way to put that. I know you don't want to hear it. J.R. Radcliffe, my good buddy from the Journal Sentinel. J.R. always comes up with some good tidbits. He says the Brewers are at minus 21 runs in run differential. How are they in first place? How bad is this the rest of the division if they're in first place? Yeah, Adrian put them in a bad hole, but let's face it. 4 hits tonight. Doesn't matter if Houser gave 3 runs, they were still going to lose. 7 runs over the first 3 innings. Bullpen lights out the rest of the game. Some of the bright spots, Andrew Monasterio, 2 hits in his major league. Made his major league debut last Sunday, but his first 2 hits as a major leaguer. Congratulations, he's mid-20s. Congratulations out to him. Abraham Torrell saw his first Brewer at bat, and he got drilled with a pitch in the 9th inning. Injuries continue to mount up. Torrell's on this team because Jesse Winker's got a cervical strain. He's batting .204. And he was dynamite the first week and a half, 2 weeks of the season. Clutch hits, getting on, pinch hits. But since the mid-April, it's just been awful. But he goes on the injured list. But that's another guy. So another preferred player on the injured list for this team. But I say Counsell is not the blame. I look at that lineup. I read that lineup to you. I'm going to read some tweets here, and some of you are going to come out and say just the opposite. But you can't always blame the manager in a situation like this, can you? I mean, look at the team they threw out there. with injuries, you don't know sometimes from day to day who's going to be the starting pitcher. They threw Julio Teheran out there 2 hours before signing him, 2 hours after signing him. All right. Some of the guys who started games tonight weren't supposed. Colin Ray wasn't supposed to make this many starts. He's pitched great in his last 2 outings, and he's hung in there. You know, the preferred starters again have not been in the starting rotation. We have not had them yet. That's not Counsell's fault. Rowdy says, you know what you expect, Rowdy. Rowdy's hitting 250. Rowdy's hitting better than he should be hitting. He's about a 220 hitter. Okay. Now, I'd like to see more pop in his bat if he's going to hit 250. But the rookies are leveling off tremendously. But again, young guys in Major League Baseball. What did you expect? What is Craig going to do? He's trying to throw out the best lineup out there. Now, do I always agree with when a left-handed pitcher's out there, throw all your right-handers and bench your Rowdy Tellez's and your good left-handed hitters, or burying Tellez at the bottom of the order? I don't know. I just think it's on the players too. Much of this is on the players. I mean, none of this is on Counsell. I think he's doing a hell of a job just piecing this thing together. So I put out on Twitter, is this a Counsell problem? Game after game, just brutal, painful offense. We will address this on Locked On Brewers, which drops on Tuesday night, either you're watching us on Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever. Some of your responses. Steve says, Counsell's problem, yes, but Attanasio has Ted Thompson syndrome. Okay is good enough. If we end up having a great year, great. My team is on the field. In other words, what he's saying that Attanasio is like Ted Thompson, the late Brewers or the late Packers GM, who failed to spend money on the team and enjoyed just being under that salary cap, thrived on it. And maybe Attanasio, he feels is the same way. Now, there's no salary cap, but having a low payroll. LaCroix says, absolutely Counsell's problem. His voice has gone stale. Oh, like what? His voice has gone stale. How does that affect the guy hitting? How does that affect the guy? Are you going to motivate a guy? I mean, with all due respect, LaCroix, are you supposed to motivate a guy to hit? Baseball doesn't work that way. Sure, there's effort, but I mean, you can either hit or you can't hit. Selective, you got to be selective. You got to, pick your right pitches and all that. But I don't think this is a motivational thing. Sometimes major league ball players try to think, go out and fight and like they're playing a physical sport like they are in football. It's not football, and it's not even basketball. It's not that kind of sport. Some managers like to look it up, like to think of it that way, but it's not that way. Jason, Counsell can't hit for the players. This is purely a talent problem. So it is on the GM and owner. I agree with you, Jason. It is. It is a talent problem. And then when players get injured, not only did you didn't have a 95-win team you fielded on opening day, but when those guys get replaced, and I said you didn't have a 95 win team on opening day, but when those guys get replaced, I mean, you're coming up with, bargain basement players across the lineup. So the results are predictable. You throw this lineup on any team in baseball, the Yankees or whatever, you have Aaron Boone, whoever managing this team, Bobby Cox coming out of retirement. I don't care. Tony La Russa, they would not be any better or worse. Might be worse than what Counsell has these guys right now. This is not a Counsell problem. Belligerent fan says lineup is rear end, we'll say. They need to relax. They can't play some small ball instead of relying on home runs. More walks, steals, bunts, and singles. Toronto played small ball, 13 base hits, 13 singles. I like it. Brock and SB says, I mean, come on, Chuck. Look at the players he has available to him. What do you expect from the offense when you have Ruff, 2 rookies daily, and some dude they called up from AAA that isn't even a legitimate prospect? Losing Mitchell caused this offensive. Losing Mitchell was a big loss, but that did not cause the complete offensive collapse. But I agree with everything else you said there with the lineup. agree 100%. Boy, a lot of you not happy, but yeah, some people blaming Counsell, some not. Lack of talent, says Edward. COVID reply guy says it's a talent problem. Yeah. So there's a mix of people blaming Counsell and people blaming, the lineup just isn't there. Injuries. That's the problem. This lineup was not very good to start the season. You weighed heavily. All your cards were in the starting rotation, and you lost 4 guys to the injured list. And now you got to rely on the offense. Well, the offense isn't good to pick up this pitching staff, and the pitching staff is hanging in there, with the exception of Houser. His last 2 starts have been pretty good. But, we're not expecting this guy to go out there and be Greg Maddux by any means. We'll come back and talk about the matchup that's coming up on Wednesday in Game 2 of the series next here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. I'm your host, Chuck Freeman. Thank you for joining me. Getting a little passionate about the Brewers, our team tonight. Just like you guys are out there, hopefully. Well, I mean, I don't want to. It could be easy, I think some of you guys who complain about me being negative on team, are you saying, well, another day, maybe tomorrow will be the day for the Brewers. Oh, well, the Brewers lost, tomorrow. I mean, I can't look at it that way. I've been a frustrated Brewer fan for too long. Brewers and Blue Jays coming up Wednesday night, 6:07 Central. Catch every pitch of the Brewers' hometown broadcast, SiriusXM, SXM app, search Brewers. Brewer fans, and by the way, thanks for making Locked On Brewers your first listen to every day. All the places we download on Google, on YouTube, on YouTube, the video version, on Apple, and on Spotify. Thank you. Following us along on YouTube. Hit us at the subscribe button right there. Love to have you follow us along here on the subscribe on Locked On Brewers, your first listen to or watch every day. Yeah, you know what? Because I'm passionate about the Brewers because I love the Brewers, but I think the fans, and when I see 34,000 people on a beautiful Sunday afternoon on Memorial Day weekend giving up their Sunday to say, hey, let's go down to the Brewers and spend some money. And it's going to cost us a few $100 after tickets and concessions and all that, taking kids. When I see people investing their hard money in this team, you're darn right I'm going to be passionate because I'm all for the fans. I'm a fan myself. Yeah, I cover the team, but I'm also a fan. And, I want to see more postseason appearances, deep runs in the postseason, more than getting to Game 6 or Game 7 or a wild card appearance. I want more. I want championships for our team. I do. I want better. I'm going to continue to fight for our team because I'm passionate, and I want us as fans, and I want fans who've been around as long as I am watching this team and longer, and the new coming fans too, the fans who picked up this team in the 90s and 2000s. I want you all to experience winners as well, because none of us have gone through that winner route yet. One World Series appearance in 54 years and a loss there isn't good. Willie Adames working out with the team today. That was a great sign. Craig Counsell says Urias will probably return next homestand. He's continuing his AAA assignment. Aaron Hicks was a street free agent. He was released by the Yankees. He was picked up by rival Baltimore. So, yeah, Brewers were not going to pick him up, and Baltimore signed him to a contract. The pitchers for Wednesday, Julio Teheran, who we talked about a little while ago. He's on the mound for the Brewers. He allowed 1 run in 5 innings last Thursday, so he would have 6 days off between starts, making his second start, and it was great what he did last time. Let's continue to build on that. And, there's spots in this rotation to be earned by somebody, and let's see Julio stay here and earn his spot on the team. Alek Manoah on the hill. The bad news for Manoah is he's 1-5. The bad news for the Brewers is he's 1-5 because this guy's got too good of stuff to be struggling like he is. He's been taking a lot of heat in Toronto because he has not pitched well. 16-game winner last year, 3rd in the Cy Young voting, and has been just brutal this year. and a career high in ERA, mid fives, I want to say. So let's even that series up and have a happier show tomorrow. But I'm telling you, these low hit games are destroying me. I'm not happy to see them, and you shouldn't as well, because it's frustrating. I think even though the Brewers are throwing out just a brutal lineup, they should be better than this. All right, 3 or 4 hits a game is not going to beat anybody. But I'm looking at that lineup and I'm like, man, it should be better. It's not a great lineup, but they should be better than slogging through what they did tonight, because we've seen it just too much from this team this year. But they got to hang in there as well and see if there's reinforcements come up before that pitching staff gets healthy again. Okay. You're going to get some guys back to help that. But hey, doesn't matter if Brandon Woodruff goes out there and gives you 7 strong innings on 3 runs. If you can't score any runs yourself. All right, that's going to be it. I'll talk to you tomorrow, everybody. I'm Chuck Freeman on Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Talk to you tomorrow on Locked On Brewers.